everyone. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use the Student Budget Predictor. This tool is an amazing tool to use before you head abroad so that you can manage a bit of your expectations. It's super important to know how much money you have coming abroad and what things you want to do with it. So this tool is really going to help you decide what things are going to be important for you to do while you're there, and really help you kind of manage expectations before you head abroad. A lot of times what we see is students come in and they lose their minds a little bit. They buy lots of things, they travel a bunch, and then all of a sudden they run out of money. So this is going to help you kind of manage that ahead of time so that you don't run into that stressful situation. So first things first is it's super important that you follow these steps. There's 4 steps in this budget sheet, and if you ever need to refer back to them, you can use that up here. The next thing that's super important is make sure that you please make a copy of this and you use your copy. This is the master copy for whatever country you're planning to travel to, and so it's important that you make your copy. You can follow the steps here. So let's begin and head to step 1. So this is where you're going to figure out where your funding is coming from. So you want to make sure that you calculate for your entire time abroad. So whether that be 3 weeks to 14 weeks. Based off of that information, we're going to give you a monthly budget. So the first thing that you're going to look at is where are you getting your money from your parents or guardians, maybe from financial aid or from personal funds. If you're getting money from financial aid and you're trying to figure out how much money you're going to have from financial aid, you can scroll over here to our financial aid calculator. So this is where you're going to put in any tuition fees that you have. So that may be from your fees for CIS Abroad and maybe anything additional that you have to pay your home universities. You want to make sure this number is always negative. So let's say, for example, for you it's 12,000. You put that in there, and then you'll see that your total leftover is going to calculate for you. Then you want to put in extra fees, so things like maybe visa applications, your transportation or flights, anything that you have left over before you come here. You'll add your financial aid here, and then it'll give you your total leftover. So let's imagine that your financial aid is actually more. You can have this leftover number, and this is the number that you would come over here and plug in here. And then you can add whatever you have from your personal funds or from your parents or guardians. Then this magic number here will tell you how much money you have to spend the whole time that you're abroad. In the next part, this is where you're going to select your program. So depending on what country you're going to, all of the programs will be listed by country. So this is the Spain program, so you'll be able to see here, these are all the programs for Spain. So you would go in here and select a program. I'm going to do this semester at La Universidad Autónoma de Barcelona. If you have any questions about your program you can always check out the program page. So what's going to happen is that the number of weeks is going to automatically update, and it's going to give you a total budget per month in dollars and also in your local currency. So in Spain it is euros, but if you're in Australia, for example, it would be Australian dollars. If you're in the UK, it would be pounds, for example. So this is a really good number for you to know that this is your monthly budget. So then in step 2, you don't need to do anything in step 2. This is just more for you to have an idea of what a student with a similar budget to you does with their money. So for example, in this case, it's Adam. So you can read a little bit about Adam's priorities about his time abroad, things that he does during his time abroad. You can also see an example of how many times a week or month Adam does certain things. So you'll be able to see that here. And then you'll also get some notes from the on-site staff. So for example, there's me. I am the site director in Barcelona. So these are the tips that I have given the students or some tidbits about each one of these items. So this step for you is just really for you to use as an example and take a look at what Adam, for example, does. Step 3 is where you really get to have fun and where you're going to plan and decide what your spending is going to look like when you're abroad. This is where you're going to customize your experience by deciding how many times per week or a month you want to do certain things. So for example, maybe for you it's more important to stay super local, for example in Barcelona, and eat out a bunch or do a lot of cultural activities within the city. Or maybe for you, it's more important to travel around Europe. That totally depends, and this is where you're going to get to decide what your budget looks like. But first, all of the psych directors have gone in and have given you the bare minimum of what you're going to spend for your time abroad. So, for example, groceries and getting around the city, and a local phone plan. So these numbers you don't need to touch because they're automatically given to you by the site directors. After your monthly spending, this is where you're going to see this is what you have left over from your bare minimum spending. So for example, 1,900 euros or 2,000 US dollars. You'll see that that number just changed because it is automatically linked to the currency converters. So when the currency changes at all, it's going to change here too. And then this is the fun part. So this is where you're going to play around with this column here and decide how many times per week or how many times per month you want to do or you want to eat these items here in column B. So for example, let's say, okay, I'm not a really big coffee drinker, so I'm only going to get coffee out maybe 2 times a week. I'll make it at home on the weekend or during the weekday. And same with breakfast. Maybe I'll take advantage of the menú del día in Spain and eat out 4 times a week. And dinner, I'm not a very big dinner person, so maybe I'll just go out to dinner maybe once with friends. So you'll see that these totals have updated there on your monthly spending based off of how many times a week. Let's say you're not someone that really likes to go out that much. You're probably not going to be going to the clubs. And taxis, you like public transport, so you're going to use that everywhere. However, what's really important to you is going to see some local museums, doing some cultural events, shopping, and let's say you want to do at least 1 local trip around Spain and 2 trips around Europe. You'll see here, this is super important, it's going to tell you whether you are over or under budget. So let's say like, okay, you have a little bit more left in your budget, so I'm going to go out with my friends twice a week to the clubs. And I'll probably get maybe 1 drink when I'm there. And actually, I think I'll go out to dinner a few more times a week with my friends. You're going to see there that all of a sudden it's going to say, oops, you're over budget, try again. So this is where you can really play around and decide what you can and can't afford while you're abroad. And that's going to be totally based off of the budget that you have. Then in step 4, this is really just an idea to give you a complete picture, and it's something that you can use to update. It might also be something that you need to tweak. So for example, let's say your phone plan, you actually are going to be using your phone plan from the United States. So you would change this number. And let's say, I don't know, for example, your parent or guardian is going to pay for your groceries while abroad. So maybe you have less in your parent or guardian budget, but then you get rid of the groceries. And then here you can use your actual spending. So if you want to, you can put numbers in negative what your actual spending is, and it's going to tell you if you're over or under your budget over here, which is kind of nice. You can be like, okay, I'm actually doing well in the beginning of my trip. I'm pretty under budget. Where you might notice that you might go super over budget, for example, is in traveling. So you might notice that. For example, if I put in, let's say I put in that my first weekend, or my first month, I spent $800 traveling. You're going to see here that your total over under budget has gone down. So you can play around a little bit with these numbers as well and use this for your time abroad. So I hope that helps you. Like I said, this is a great tool for you to use to help you manage expectations about the experience that you want to have while you're abroad. And at CIS, we are super happy that we were able to put these together with the help of all the site directors. So all of this information is given to you by someone that's local that knows what typical spending is in the location that you're at. So I hope you have a wonderful time abroad and get to enjoy it to the max.